Chapter 19, Previous Life's Memories. While Li Chenmo was deep in his thoughts, Lu Jiu came back with food. She was taken aback when she saw his expression. For a moment, she felt a chill down her spine, and felt that the person in front of her was not the hero, but a ruthless villain. Li Chenmo noticed a person standing at the door, so he turned around and saw her standing there motionless. "Why do you just stand there and not come in?" he asked with a smile, with a hint of doting in his voice. When she came back to her senses, Lu Jiu saw his smiling face and thought what she saw just now was a hallucination. She must have made a mistake. The character setting of the hero is righteous, brave, loyal, gentle, and kind. It was completely different from the expression she saw on him just now. Lu Jiu looked at him as she walked to the kang bed and placed the food on the small table. Lu Jiu scooped up a bowl of chicken soup, handed it to Li Chenmo, and said, "Drink some soup first to warm your stomach." "N." Li Chenmo drank the soup obediently. While he was drinking the soup, Lu Jiu served him a bowl of vegetable porridge and glanced at him from time to time. He seemed so honest and gentle. She must have been hallucinating just now. Sensing her gaze, Li Chenmo asked, "Is there something on my face?" "No, try this." She picked up a shrimp dumpling and put it in his bowl. While Li Chenmo was eating, Lu Jiu was lost in thought. Because of this, she didn't notice that he looked at her with eyes full of possessiveness and obsession. When she looked at him, his gaze returned to normal instantly. After he finished eating, she cleaned up the bowl and said, "Brother Chenmo, I made a lot of steamed buns. You can warm them up for lunch later." Hearing her words, he looked at her and asked several questions at once. "Won't you come later? Do you need to do something? Are you going somewhere?" While she was taken aback by his reaction, Lu Jiu still said honestly, "I will bring your dinner, but I may not be able to bring you lunch, so I made some more steamed buns. I plan to use bamboo to build a waterway and get water from the mountain, so that my family can use mountain spring water for cooking and drinking. Drinking brackish water for a long time will cause many health problems. Therefore, we still have to find a way to get mountain spring water." Li Chenmo nodded and said, "Then be careful when you work, don't get hurt." "I will. Take a rest. If you want to go out, let Uncle Li help you." As if sensing his uneasiness, before leaving, she touched his chin and whispered, "Before we go to the county seat, we have to shave your beard clean." Feeling his newly grown beard pricking her palm, she smiled with bright eyes. This is a novel experience for her, because it is the first time she has been so intimate with the opposite sex. "Well, I have to go back now. See you tonight." Li Chenmo hadn't recovered until she left his room. When she touched his chin just now, a memory that didn't belong to him flashed in his mind. He saw a girl who looked exactly like Lu Jiu, but that girl couldn't be her, because that girl was wearing shorts, showing off her straight, smooth, beautiful long legs. She laughed as she chatted with a tall man, and the place seemed to be in a school. Her smile was as bright as the one she had just given him. After a long time, he touched his chest, feeling his heart was beating fast, like he was suffocating. The feeling was so familiar that it shocked him. It seems that his obsession and possessiveness towards her are not without reason. Did he already love her from a very long time ago? When this idea appeared in his mind, not only did he not feel surprised, but he even felt very happy. The feeling was fleeting, but he felt as if he had finally found his long-lost treasure. This time he will not miss the opportunity again. He didn't want to die with regrets anymore. Li Chenmo was taken aback by his own thoughts, and sat on the bed in a daze. "Yua, Yua," he called her name over and over again in a low voice, as if he was trying to remember something very important. After leaving Li's house, Lu Jiu did not go back to her home immediately, but walked up the mountain. She put the jars and bamboo baskets in her own space and went into the mountain. From the moment she crossed over, she was curious about the mountain. Due to the author's laziness, there are quite a few plot holes in the novel due to lack of logic. For example, the trees, mushrooms, fruits, and even the staple food grown on the mountain didn't fit the climate and location, and the reason has not been explained by the author. The author just used this mountain as the place where Su Anna plotted against Lu Jiu. After that, it is not mentioned in the novel again. According to logic, since it is very close to the villagers should go to the mountains to pick wild vegetables and other food. Therefore, it is impossible for them not to notice anything unusual about this accident. But instead of asking what happened or if there is a witness, the villagers already judged that they were having an affair the moment they saw Li Chenmo and Lu Jiu hugging each other with disheveled clothes inside the pit. Who in their right mind would do something like that in a pit? Lu Jiu finally reached the foot of the mountain and saw a few bushes of wild berries behind the trees. She was surprised by this unexpected discovery. Lu Jiu looked around, and when she saw no one, she collected the berry bushes. When a wild berries bush enters her space, it's registered as a seed in her store, and the shrub is planted in the field. As for the ripened fruits, they are harvested and stored in the warehouse. Along the way, she collected several fruit trees. She even found some trees that produced edible nuts and seeds. While she was excited by her discovery, she couldn't help but marvel at the author's randomness. She found mushrooms and trees that couldn't grow in winter, but they thrived. The farther she went into the mountains, the more food she found. She found not only fruits and mushrooms, but even vegetables and staple foods. As she collected these things, she kept drawing a map of the mountain in her mind. She also wanted to use bamboo water pipes to get mountain spring water for Lee Chenmo. 3 hours later, she left the mountain and returned home. When she walked into the front yard, she saw that her brothers had already cleaned up the bamboo. Looking at the bamboo pole, she was satisfied. The diameter of the stem is about 15 centimeters, which is enough for water to flow smoothly. Seeing Lu Jiu come back, Lu Han said, "Jiu, we have cleaned up the leaves. Now we can start making water pipes." "Okay, I'll put the jar and basket in the kitchen first," Lu Jiu said as she walked towards the kitchen. When she came back, she brought some charcoal. She marked the bamboo with it and told her brother to cut it according to her markings. Instead of splitting the bamboo in half, she made a hole in the bamboo and cleared the bamboo inside the segment part. In this way, the bamboo can be used as a water pipe. Before going to the mountain spring site, they prepared 40 bamboo water pipes. Her brothers are so strong that they can hold 10 bamboos at once, and her task is to take the hemp rope. When they reached the mountain spring, they used a short piece of bamboo to guide the mountain spring water into the bamboo tube. Afterwards, they used some logs as poles and tied it to the bamboo to hold it in place. They connected the bamboo one by one until they reached the backyard of Lu's house. A small hole has been dug in the backyard, and river stones have been pasted on the wall to form a small pond. When the last bamboo is tied up, water gushes out from the bamboo and fills the pond in an instant. Excess water flows to the canal that connects to the vegetable fields and the river near their home. With this design, they don't have to worry about the backyard being flooded, and they don't need to water the vegetable patch anymore. After thinking about it, Lu Jiu used smaller bamboos to divide the water. Smaller bamboo is attached to the water tank in the backyard. This way, they don't need to manually fill the tank. When they were done, the sky began to darken. Lu Jiu looked at her brothers and asked, "Brother, can you help me open another waterway for Brother Chenmo's house?" Lu Han and Lu Cheng thought about it and nodded. After all, their sister would marry that guy and live there. "Well, we already know how to build it, so you don't need to worry about us. Go and have a rest," Lu Cheng said and drove her away. "Thank you, brother," she said with a smile. "We are all a family, there is no need to be so polite," Lu Han said with a sigh. "Then I'll make you a delicious dinner." Lu Jiu went to the kitchen to boil water for her brothers. When the water boiled, she went back to her room. After locking the room, she entered her space and took a hot shower. She soaked in the bathtub for a while before finished her shower. After taking a shower, she went to get the ingredients for dinner. When she walked into the warehouse, she was a little surprised to see so many new ingredients appearing in it. After she took a closer look, these new things were actually those plants she collected this morning. There's even natural honey that she stumbled upon unexpectedly. The more ingredients, the more menus she can make. Thinking of the hard work of her brothers, she took 2 kilograms of meat, 1 kilogram of white rice, some vegetables, and 20 eggs before leaving her space. Under normal circumstances, 1 kilogram of raw rice can feed 20 adults. But people in this era have a bigger appetite than modern people. So she decided to cook 1 kilogram of rice, which should be enough for her family, Lee Chenmo and his father, to eat. When she arrived at the kitchen, she saw Mother Lu scooping up some coarse grains from the rice jar. Their family eats mostly coarse grains and saves some white rice for special occasions. The remaining rice will be sold to state-run supply stores or exchanged for other supplies with the villagers. While their family earns a lot of work points, they also consume a lot of food. If they only eat white rice, there will not be enough food until the next harvest. Lu Jiu looked at the almost empty jar and said, "Mother, let me cook. You should rest, or your rheumatism will get worse." When Mother Lu heard her daughter's concern, she smiled and said, "Then I'll leave it to you." After Mother Lu left the kitchen, Lu Jiu poured the coarse grains back into the jar and started making dinner. After washing the rice, she steams it with pandan leaves. With pandan leaves, the steamed rice becomes more fragrant. While steaming rice, she made braised pork, stir-fried vegetables, and egg drop soup. About an hour later, the dinner was ready. Lu Jiu took out 2 wooden bowls and 2 wooden plates, put some food on them, and put them into the bamboo basket. She keeps the baskets in her space, as her space can keep items in top condition. As soon as the bamboo basket was put away, her sister-in-law entered the kitchen. When Chen Anwen saw the braised pork, egg soup and white rice, she was so shocked that she couldn't speak. For the villagers, unless there is a wedding or some important celebration, they do not cook white rice or meat dishes. Seeing the food in front of her, she thought that today was someone's wedding day. Jiu, did you make all of these? She asked in disbelief. Sister-in-law helped me bring it out. We should eat it while it's hot. Without noticing the surprise on her sister-in-law's face, Lu Jiu said casually, and came to the living room with braised pork and rice. Not long after she left, Wang Muxiao entered the kitchen and exclaimed, "Aya, who made these dishes?" As she shouted, she hurried to the cabinet to check the meat and white rice. Chen Anwen looked at her with complicated eyes and said, "Jiu cooked it." Hearing these words, Wang Muxiao stopped rummaging through the cabinet and heaved a sigh of relief. She turned to Chen Anwen and said, "That's good. If Jiu cooks, she won't use our food. Li Chenmo must have bought these." After Wang Muxiao finished speaking, she picked up a large bowl full of egg drop soup and walked to the living room. Chen Anwen could only pick up the stir-fried vegetables and followed her to the living room. When they walked into the living room, they saw that everyone was already sitting around the table with complicated expressions. While feeling sorry for the money Li Chenmo spent on white rice and meat, they couldn't help licking their lips and swallowing when they smelled the fragrance of meat wafting from the dishes. Not to mention children, even adults couldn't help salivating. After the soup and dishes were set, Chen Anwen sat beside her husband and glanced at her in-laws. Mother Lu's expression was not very good, while Father Lu was expressionless. Seeing that no one moved their chopsticks, Lu Jiu said, "Mother, let's eat while it's hot." Her parents looked at her, sighed, and picked a piece of braised pork. After they took a bite, everyone moved their chopsticks. They started attacking the plate of braised pork the moment they picked up their chopsticks. As a chef, Lu Jiu's craftsmanship is top-notch. What's more, she also used the water in her own space, which increased the taste of the food. At first, Mother Lu wanted to remind her about how to live well, but the moment she bit the meat, she forgot what she wanted to say. All she could think about was the juice bursting in her mouth. The smell of meat filled her mouth and nostrils. Before she knew it, she had already eaten several pieces of meat. For the first time, no one spoke during the meal. Usually they chat about little things that happened to them throughout the day, but tonight they're busy eating. They worry that if they talk, the meat will be eaten by others, and they will eat one bite less. Their attack power amazed Lu Jiu. Seeing the rapidly shrinking braised meat, she quickly picked some for Lu Wenyi and Lu Wenmu. The two children are still young and eat slower than adults. If she doesn't give them more, the braised pork will be eaten by others when they finish eating the meat in the bowl. She uses pork belly for tonight's braised pork. The pattern of pork belly resembles marbles with layers of fat and lean meat. As a person who grew up in modern society, Lu Jiu prefers to eat lean meat rather than fat meat. So when everyone else chose braised pork, she chose stir-fried vegetables. In less than 10 minutes, a large plate of braised pork was eaten. Seeing that there was still a lot of rice left, Lu Han, Lu Cheng and Father Lu scooped up another bowl. When they finished filling their third bowls, Father Lu had already poured the braised pork sauce on his bowl. Seeing this, Lu Han and Lu Cheng were stunned. Sensing their gazes, Father Lu snorted coldly and continued eating. All is fair in war. If you eat slowly, you can't blame others for eating more than you. Since there was no meat, everyone ate egg soup and fried vegetables. Although it was just vegetables and mushrooms, the vegetables and mushrooms were fresh and crunchy. The more they eat, the bigger the appetite. In only 30 minutes, they finished their dinner without leaving even a drop of soup. Lu Jiu looked at her family in astonishment. They really could eat a lot. She smiled as they patted their bellies. She got up to clean up the table when she heard Chen Anwen say, "You have already cooked, second sister-in-law, and I will clean up. Don't you still need to bring food for Li Chenmo?" "Then I will trouble my sisters-in-law." Lu Jiu didn't refuse their offers and nodded. After dinner, she walked to Li's house with an empty basket. When she got outside the gate, she took out the food from her space, placed it inside the bamboo basket, and walked in. When she was near the house, she heard Li Chenmo talking to his father. "Third son, are you sure about it?" Father Li asked. "Father, I've been thinking about it for a long time. I hope you can help me with this matter." "Now that you've decided, I'll try to talk to them." Father Li sighed. "Thank you, Father." Lu Jiu didn't know what they were talking about, but she didn't intend to ask either. So when she walks, she makes a louder noise. As she expected, they both stopped talking when they heard her footsteps. As soon as Lu Jiu entered the house, she saw Father Li coming out of the bedroom while helping Li Chenmo. Seeing her coming, Li Chenmo's eyes lit up. "Jiu, come in quickly." Li Chenmo waved to her. If it weren't for his leg injury, he might have walked toward her. Seeing that he was in a good mood, Lu Jiu also felt that she was in a better mood. She put the bamboo basket on the table and said, "Uncle Li, brother Chenmo, I made some braised pork for dinner. You two should eat more." When she put the food on the table, Father Li was stunned. He knew that his son had given all the money to Lu Jiu and let her use it as she wished, but he never expected that she would actually use the money to buy rice and meat. Looking at the portion size, it was enough for 4 adults. What a waste to eat white rice and so much meat all at once. It's better to save it for the new year. Father Li suddenly remembered the rumors about Lu Jiu and glanced at her. Although he was very upset about her spending money like this, as a man, he restrained himself and said nothing. He considers it a blessing that his wife is no longer around, with his wife's temper. If she sees his future daughter-in-law being so wasteful, there might be a big scene. Father Li looked at his son and saw that he was smiling all the time, so he chose to close his eyes. As long as they are happy, he, as a father, will not interfere with their lives. After all, his sons are all grown up and they can make their own decisions. When Li's father was full of dilemma, Li Chenmo was very happy when he saw the dishes. He wasn't afraid of her wasting his money, but he was afraid that she wouldn't want to use his money. Now that she was willing to spend his money, he doesn't have to worry too much about her changing her mind. If it was possible, he wanted to spoil her until she could no longer live without him. Not knowing what they were thinking, Lu Jiu served them a bowl of rice and a bowl of soup. She handed them the chopsticks and said, "Uncle Li, brother Chenmo, please try it quickly, see if it suits your taste." Although his mouth was already watering when he smelled the aroma of braised pork, Li Chenmo drank the egg soup first and then tasted the meat. The moment he tried the meat, his eyes widened in surprise. Although he knew that Lu Jiu's cooking skills were great, he was still surprised when he tasted today's dishes. Because he was injured, she only cooked some light dishes for him. Therefore, it was his first time trying such a delicious dish. Although it is not suitable to eat greasy and heavy-flavored food because of the injury, Lu Jiu thinks it is okay to eat it occasionally. What's more, she used the water in the space to make these dishes, so it should be fine. If Father Li thought the food was too much for 2 people before, after tasting it, he felt that the food was perfect. Both he and his son can eat 2 bowls of rice. For the first time after the Great Famine, Father Li finally had a full belly. They finished eating in less than 20 minutes, which made Lu Jiu a little worried. Eating too fast was not good for their digestive system, so she made some tea to help them digest their food. After she finished clearing the table, Father Li went back to his room to rest. Sitting beside Li Chenmo, Lu Jiu said, "Brother Chenmo, in a few days my brothers will come to build waterways. In the future, we can use mountain spring water instead of well water." He listened to her and nodded. Just as she was about to leave, Li Chenmo said, "Jiu, my father will visit your parents tomorrow." She looked at him questioningly and asked, "What's the matter?" "It's about our wedding. You've been going back and forth between our houses to take care of me since I got back. It's winter and it's getting colder every day. I think it's best to hold our marriage earlier. After marriage, it will be much more convenient. What do you think about this?" Lu Jiu was surprised by his thoughts. Although she had decided to live in the moment and not think about the heroine, she was caught off guard when he suddenly wanted to advance the wedding date. Seeing her surprised expression, Li Chenmo quickly added, "If you disagree, we can follow our original plan. It's just that I'm afraid you'll catch a cold and get sick, so you don't have to cook for me during this time. My father can take care of my food." Hearing this, Lu Jiu suddenly blurted out with a frown, "It won't do." Li Chenmo was taken aback and asked, "Jiu, what do you mean?" When she came back to her senses, she hurriedly said, "I don't mean anything else. It's just that you need to replenish your health. You need balanced nutrients, so it's better for me to cook for you." Li Chenmo looked at her and fell silent. After a while, he shook his head and said, "No, I promise to take care of my body so you don't have to worry about me. I don't want you to get sick while taking care of me. What should I do if something happens to you?" Lu Jiu saw that she couldn't negotiate with him as he had already made up his mind and refused to compromise. She didn't expect him to be so stubborn, and she was annoyed. They glanced at each other, neither willing to back down. In the end, she still failed to win against him and said helplessly, "All right, I will listen to you." Li Chenmo's eyes lit up. He tried hard to hold back his joy and asked probingly, "That means you agree with me?" Lu Jiu glanced at him and asked him back, "Did you give me another choice? Your health is the most important." Hearing her words, he was overjoyed, and finally couldn't help it and let out a low laugh. Seeing him laughing foolishly, she couldn't get angry even if she was annoyed, so she could only say helplessly, "Come on, I will help you back to the room." Li Chenmo knew it was time to stop, so he nodded and obediently went back to his room. After she covered him with the quilt, he took her hand and put a pair of red hair clips in her palm. "I bought this for you, do you like it?" he asked. For her, this kind of antique is very interesting. While this design is old-fashioned for her, it is the latest design in this day and age and quite expensive. She held the hair clips and said, "I like it, thank you, Brother Chenmo." "Is it expensive? I heard from my second sister-in-law that this kind of hair clip cost a lot of money," she added. Li Chenmo shook his head and said, "It's not expensive, as long as you like it." "I will cherish it," she said with a smile. Because of this gift, her annoyance disappeared instantly. The two chatted for a while before she went home. The next day, Lu Han and Lu Cheng went to the mountains to gather more bamboo to build a waterway for the Li family. At noon, Father Li came with the matchmaker and Li Chenmo's brothers. Because the matter discussed was related to her, Lu Jiu stayed in her room. Feeling bored, she locked the door and entered her space. Lu Jiu went to the warehouse to get some wool and started knitting a few sweaters, scarves, gloves, socks, and even stomach warmers. She picked out a few festive shades of sorrel, soft pink and light green for her mother, sisters-in-law and niece. For the man and her nephew, she chose black, dark blue, dark green, and brown. She actually wanted to choose light blue for Li Chenmo, but in this day and age, this color is not available. If she used a color that wasn't available in this era, it would raise questions, so she can only choose these boring colors. Since the time in the space is different from the outside, she can knit slowly while eating snacks. Before she knew it, she had spent hours in her space finishing up several pairs of gloves. She used to make these things to sell in her previous life. Every Valentine's Day or Christmas, she receives many orders. Not only is her product reasonably priced, but her workmanship is also very good. It was better than what is sold in the store. After leaving the space, she listened to the conversation outside and found that Father Li hadn't left yet. So she entered her own space again and continued to knit. When she came out again, the sun had already started to set. Lu Jiu was startled and went to the kitchen. When she entered the kitchen, her sisters-in-law had already prepared dinner. After seeing her, they didn't say anything but asked her to help bring out the food. After finishing her dinner in a hurry, she went to Li's house. Fortunately, when she was in her own space, she had already prepared dinner for Li Chenmo, so she just needs to bring it over. Because of the cold weather, she boiled medicinal chicken soup for him to keep him warm. Besides soup, she also made salmon steak and some fruit salad. She put a lot of vegetables in the chicken soup, so didn't make any more vegetable dishes, and just served it with white rice. When she arrived at Li's house, Father Li had already eaten and hadn't returned from his elder brother's house. So Li Chenmo was the only one left in the house. Lu Jiu entered his room and put the food on the table. She pursed her lips and found that he was not in a good mood. She sat on the Kang bed and asked, "What's the matter? Why are you ignoring me?" Li Chenmo glanced at her and said in a low voice, "You haven't come to visit me since morning." "Am I not here now?" she asked confusedly. He didn't speak and just looked at her. Just when she felt the need to coax him, she heard him say, "Jiu, I miss you. Before I thought it would be fine if we didn't meet before we got married. But when I don't see you for several hours, I feel uneasy and uncomfortable. I keep telling myself that it doesn't matter if you don't come because you may be busy. But when I hear people talking about your relationship with another man, I can't help feeling angry and worried." "Jiu, do you think there is something wrong with me?" he asked after being silent for a while. She was taken aback by his straightforward confession. Unknowingly, she blushed. Even the tips of her ears and neck were red. This man is a clingy and possessive boyfriend, type R. This situation really caught her off guard. He was not like this in the original plot. He should be a gentle and indifferent male protagonist who is never jealous. Who is this aggrieved man who looks like a bullied little wife? How can you say these words so directly?" She stammered shyly and looked away. Li Chenmo didn't feel that what he said was wrong. These words are his sincere feelings. He knows he shouldn't be like this, but he just can't help it. When he thought of her getting so close to other men, he had a feeling of wanting to kill someone. Not to mention others, even himself, were frightened by his possessiveness. Not seeing her since the morning, countless memories that didn't belong to this lifetime flooded into his mind. In those memories, Li Chenmo saw Lu Jiu having an intimate conversation with a tall man. She eats with him in a beautiful dress. When she looked at him, her eyes were full of emotion. She even gave him a birthday present. She never gives him any gift despite being engaged for 2 years. He was curious about the man, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't see his face. When those memories flooded into his mind, he almost couldn't hold back his urge to kill that man. No one knew how much self-control he needed to keep himself from going mad with jealousy. Li Chenmo lowered his eyes to hide his emotions and asked, "Did my words burden you?" Lu Jiu looked at him and saw that he was in a bad mood. She chuckled, held his hand and said, "Why do I feel burdened? I appreciate your feelings and there is nothing wrong with you. I also felt angry and uncomfortable when I saw Suanna come to visit you last time." "I didn't," he said suddenly. I didn't let her visit me. Father didn't let her in and I warned her," he added. "What did you say to her?" she asked curiously. "If she continues to harass me and my family, I will report her to the authorities." Lu Jiu was taken aback by his words. In this day and age, being reported to the authorities could end up with a prison sentence or be paraded through the streets of their brigade. One must know that one brigade has 10 production teams. The later punishment was very humiliating. If she really paraded, she may not be able to get a good marriage or not be able to marry for the rest of her life, and even her future might be implicated. No one dares to hire someone with a criminal record, therefore his threat is very harsh. But when she thought of Suanna's rude words, she felt very refreshed after hearing his words. Indeed, the male lead is a loyal and devoted person to the one he loves. "All right, let's not talk about others. If we keep talking, the dinner will get cold," Lu Jiu said with a smile and put the food on the small table. Li Chenmo looked at the food on the table and said, "It's almost New Year, and you still need to go to buy chicken and fish. I'm sorry to trouble you." "Is there still a need to be so polite between us?" Lu Jiu asked with a smile. She didn't want to talk about this topic, lest she slip up and make him suspicious. Li Chenmo stopped asking and drank the chicken soup. He took a sip and tasted the flavors of herbs such as ginseng, ginger, and red dates. The chicken broth has a layer of oil but is not greasy. Instead, it's very refreshing and warming. Generally, the chicken meat used for chicken soup will be tasteless and dry, but the one cooked by Lu Jiu was soft and juicy. After taking a few sips of the soup, he ate the rice and savored the aroma. He can eat several bowls of this kind of rice without side dishes. He didn't know how she cooked the rice, but the rice had a unique fragrance. "Try the fish." Seeing that he only ate rice and soup, Lu Jiu clipped some fish steak and placed it on his bowl. Li Chenmo nodded and tried the fish. He was surprised by the taste. It was tasty and refreshing with a hint of tartness. It doesn't have any fishy smell at all. Seeing him eating with gusto, Lu Jiu couldn't help smiling. Whenever she sees people enjoying the food she makes, she feels satisfied and it brings her joy. She went to the kitchen to make him tea. While Li Chenmo ate, she filled the water tank with water from her space. Her brothers told her the waterway would be finished by at least tomorrow. After that, the Li family has had a new source of drinking water. When she returned to the room, Li Chenmo had already finished his dinner. She handed him the tea and asked, "Is the food too much for you?" He shook his head and said, "No, the portion is perfect." Lu Jiu nodded, and while clearing the table, she thought that his appetite was really big. He eats 3 times as much as she does. After clearing the table, she went out and came back with a bag of things. Li Chenmo looked at the bag curiously and asked, "Jiu, what did you bring?" She sat on the Kang bed, handed him the bundle and said, "This is for you. Open it and see if you like it." Li Chenmo's eyes lit up and a smile appeared on his handsome face. He smiled and opened the bundle. He was stunned when he saw a sweater, scarf, hat, glove, sock, and stomach warmer. He caresses the sweater carefully. When he felt the smooth and soft texture, he knew that the wool must be expensive. She gave him all this now, which means she must have prepared it long ago. He couldn't help smiling when he thought of how she picked the wool and made all of these while thinking of him. Those who say that she has an unclear relationship with Du Jiawen must be blind. It was obvious that she cared deeply about him. Next time they dare to talk nonsense again, he will settle accounts with them. "Did you make it yourself?" he asked. I will make more for you in the coming days. The quilt is too thin and couldn't keep you warm, so wear this for now," she said and took out the sweater from the bundle. "Try it out and see if it suits you," she adds. Li Chenmo was reluctant to wear the new sweater at first, but at her urging, he finally put it on. With the sweater, stomach warmer and socks, Li Chenmo felt warm in no time. He carefully placed the gloves, hat and scarf beside the bed. Seeing him like this, Lu Jiu said, "I'll measure Uncle Lei and your size tomorrow. It's almost Chinese New Year, and you also need new clothes for our wedding. By the way, Brother Chenmo, I also made a sweater for Uncle Lei. Do you think it's okay for me to give it to your father?" she asked. Li Chenmo looked at her tenderly and said, "What about your father and my father? My father is your father. As long as it is given by his daughter-in-law, he will be happy." Lu Jiu blushed and said, "We're not married yet, so don't talk nonsense." "What nonsense? You're going to be my wife sooner or later," he chuckled. She was a little embarrassed, so she tried to change the subject and asked, "Brother Chenmo, how is your injury? Is it better now?" "Yeah, I feel much better now." "Do you still feel pain?" she asked again. "No, even the swelling is gone." After thinking for a while, she asked again, "Do you want to go to the county seat for a checkup the day after tomorrow?" Li Chenmo thought for a while and said, "Then I will inform my father. We may need to borrow a tractor from the team leader." "All right, I made some dried fruit before. We can give some to the team leader when we borrow the tractor." Lu Jiu thought about the candied fruit in her space and suggested. "Okay." They chatted until Father Li came back. Seeing that Lu Jiu was still there, Father Li asked in surprise, "Xiaoru, why are you still there? It's already very late." "Uncle Li, you're back." She stood up and took out a bundle from the basket. "Uncle Li, this is for you. The weather is getting cold lately, so you need to wear more clothes." She handed him the bundle. Father Li was surprised by the unexpected gift. He glanced at his son, saw him nodding his head, accepted it and said, "Thank you, Xiaoru, but there is no need to spend money on gifts for me." Although Father Li said so, the smile on his face proved otherwise. He is very happy to receive a gift from his future daughter-in-law. He was very surprised when he opened the package and saw a sweater, gloves, hat, scarf, socks and stomach warmer inside. "This must cost a lot of money," he said with wide-eyed eyes. "I have a friend who works in a factory. These wools are leftovers. I bought them at a cheaper price. Uncle Li, try to see if it suits you," Lu Jiu said casually. Father Li looked at the new sweater with complicated eyes. Even if she bought it at a cheaper price, it would still cost a lot of money. Is his son's money enough for her to spend? If she spends money like this, how will they live in the future? Li Chenmo understood his father's expression, but he didn't say anything. The money he gave her, even if he didn't work, was enough to feed them for several years. What's more, he didn't intend to waste his days. When he retired from the military, he already had plans. When Father Li put on the new sweater, Lu Jiu checked the size and said, "It's not bad, but it's a little big. I'll make it smaller next time." Hearing that there will be another time, Father Li said with a smile, "There is no need to make so many clothes. One new piece of clothing every few years is enough." Father Li's way of thinking is very common in this era. Most people's clothes last for years and are mended if they are worn out. For a large family, the younger children would wear older siblings' old clothes and rarely have new clothes. But Lu Jiu had a different idea. Because she has a lot of materials, she can make more clothes for them. She also plans to make a new quilt. The quilt used by her family and that of the Li family is already too thin and old. When she returned to her house, Father Li walked her home as the sky already darkened, and it was dangerous for a young woman to walk alone, especially after several cases happened in the past few weeks. The next day, Lu Han and Lu Cheng came to Li's house to dig ponds and build waterways. At the same time, Lu Jiu went to find the production team leader after delivering breakfast to Li Chenmo and Father Li. As for Father Li, he insisted on helping the Lu brothers to build the pond and waterways. Lu Jiu learned from her mother that the team leader's wife had just given birth to a son. So instead of candied fruit, she took out half a catty of brown sugar and 5 eggs. Although not much, it is a good thing for women who have just given birth. Today's weather is warmer than yesterday and the snow has melted. When she walked to the team leader's house, the villagers were outside basking in the sun. When she sees them, she greets them. Whenever she greeted the villagers, they either smiled awkwardly or looked at her in surprise. In their memory, Lu Jiu was an arrogant, short-tempered and gloomy girl. They didn't expect that after she recovered from the high fever, her personality would change so much. Now she is not only more cheerful and lively, but also more beautiful and polite. When Lu Jiu arrived at the team leader's house, she saw a young man cleaning the front yard and a little girl watching at the door. When he heard her footsteps, he stopped and raised his head. As soon as he saw her, a smile appeared on his face as joy filled his eyes as he asked, "Jiu, what brought you here today?" Lu Jiu didn't know who this person was, but seeing his smile made her heart skip a beat. It seems that this person is very important to the original owner. Seeing that she was silent, Han Yuluo remembered that his sister-in-law once told him that Lu Jiu fell into the river and had a high fever. Upon waking, she suffered from partial memory loss. She only remembered some people, others were strangers to her. His eyes darkened as he thought of being classified as strangers by her. At the same time, a memory that shocked her appeared in Lu Jiu's mind. Her guess wasn't wrong, but it wasn't close enough to the truth. The person in front of her is the original owner's childhood sweetheart, the one she loves and ended up marrying in the plot line. Judging by his gentle appearance and loving eyes, he seems to like the original owner very much. But if he loved the original owner, how could he get entangled with the widow during their marriage? Is it because of the depression of the original owner? Knowing the fate between them, she didn't know how to face him for a while, so she could only squeeze out a smile and said, "Brother Yuluo, I didn't know you were back." Hearing her words, his eyes lit up again and he said, the factory is already on holiday. I heard from my sister-in-law that you fell into the river and had a fever. Are you feeling better now? I'm fine now, she nodded awkwardly. After a short conversation, both of them fell silent. Seeing Han Yuluo looking at her with complicated eyes, Lu Jiyu's heart trembled. This kind of ill-fate relationship is best avoided if it can be avoided. Brother Yuluo is the team leader at home, Lu Jiyu asked. Han Yuluo nodded and said, come in. He walked towards the house, followed by Lu Jiyu. At the door, the little girl looked at her, smiled, and said in a milky voice, "Aunt Jiyu, you finally came to see my youngest uncle. He has been waiting for you since he came back." Lu Jiyu was taken aback by her words and laughed awkwardly, pretending not to hear her words. Han Yuluo clenched his fists when he heard his niece's words and her awkward laughter. He regretted for a long time that he didn't save her. It would be great if it was he who saved her that day instead of Li Chenmo, but there are no ifs in this world. In less than 2 months, she was going to marry another man. From then on, he didn't even have the right to call her by her name. "Sit down first, I'll call my brother," Han Yuluo said, pouring her a cup of hot tea. "Thank you." While he went to call the team leader, Lu Jiyu took out 2 milk candies from her pocket and handed them to the little girl. Looking at the milk candies, the girl was overjoyed, took it shyly and said, "Thank you, auntie." Not long after, Han Yuheng came out and said, "It's rare for you to come. What's the matter?" Lu Jiyu stood up and said, "Brother Han, I'm sorry to disturb you so early in the morning." "It's okay, have a seat." Han Yuheng waved his hand and sat down opposite her. After the two sat down, she placed a bamboo basket in front of him and said, "I didn't come to visit my sister-in-law when she gave birth. These are some things for my sister-in-law. Congratulations to both of you." Han Yuheng was used to this kind of attitude from the villagers, so he didn't think much about it. After all, it is normal for the villagers to give gifts to each other during the festival or celebrations. He looked into the basket and saw brown sugar and eggs in it. He was delighted when he saw what was inside. His wife really needs these to supplement her health, and he's been going to the state-owned supply store in the county seat for days, but can't get brown sugar because it's out of stock. Although there is not much, he can see Lu Jiyu's sincerity. His attitude changed immediately. At first, because of his younger brother, he had some prejudice against Lu Jiyu. He felt that she was a restless woman, as the villagers said, because she had already had a relationship with his brother, but at the same time still had an affair with Li Chenmo. But when he saw her today, he began to doubt the rumor. After all, she wasn't what she was rumored to be at all. She is polite, gentle, and hardworking, far from the arrogant, restless, and lazy girl in the rumors. After putting the bamboo basket aside, he said, "It doesn't matter. Is there anything I can help you with?" Lu Jiyu nodded and said, "If possible, I would like to borrow a tractor for tomorrow." Han Yuheng raised his eyebrows and asked, "May I ask why you want to borrow it?" "Brother Han, it's like this. Tomorrow I'm going to take Brother Chenmo to the county seat for a checkup. It's not convenient for him to walk, so I wonder if I can borrow a tractor," she explained calmly. "So it's like this, no problem. What time do you want to leave tomorrow?" Han Yuheng asked. "We plan to leave at 7 a.m. "Okay, then I'll pick both of you up tomorrow at Li's house." Han Yuheng readily agreed. Lu Jiyu heaved a sigh of relief when she heard his words. People say that it is difficult to borrow a tractor. Fortunately, the gift she brought made it easier for her to borrow it. She stood up and said, "Thank you, Brother Han, then I will take my leave first." "Okay, walk slowly." When she left the house, Han Yuluo walked out of his room with a gloomy expression. Seeing Han Yuluo like this, Han Yuheng sighed and said, "You'd better stop thinking about her and move on. She already belongs to someone else, it's impossible for the two of you." Han Yuluo lowered his eyes and said, "I know." Although he knew in his heart that there was no possibility between them, he was still unwilling. Why can Li Chenmo marry her? He was the first person who met her, the first person who liked her, and the one she liked. If it wasn't for that incident, she wouldn't be forced to marry Li Chenmo. If her marriage was cancelled, would he still have a chance to marry her? Once this idea appeared, it was difficult for Han Yuluo to suppress it. He would ask her if she would like to be with him. As long as she is willing, he will try his best to cancel her marriage and snatch her away. Not knowing that someone was thinking about cancelling her marriage, Lu Jiyu returned home and entered her own space. In her space, Lu Jiu went to the warehouse to select ingredients for making meat sauce, sausage, beef jerky, and biscuits. Because they are going into the county town tomorrow, she needs to prepare some food in case they get hungry on the way. The meat sauce is delicious and can be served with steamed buns. As for beef jerky and biscuits, although they are not as filling as steamed buns, they can also pad their stomachs while on the road. Seeing the appetite of Lee Chenmo and Father Lee, she decided to cook more. She stayed in space for a long time before coming out. When she came out, she glanced out the window and realized that it was almost time for lunch. She went to the kitchen, took out the ingredients from her space, and started cooking. She wanted to eat tomato beef noodles, so she started making soup. While the soup was cooking, Lu Jiu made the noodles. Her mom makes this for her every winter. So when she misses her mom, she makes this dish every once in a while. Now, she will never see her mom again and can only remember her through this dish. Before she knew it, she was making too many noodles while recalling the memories with her mom. Looking at the noodles in front of her, she chuckled lightly. She put more than half of the noodles in her space and left enough servings for her family. When the soup was ready, she saved more than half of it for Lee Chenmo, Father Lee, and her brothers. She made lunch in less than an hour. As soon as the noodles were brought to the living room, Lu Han and Lu Cheng had already returned. "Brother, you're back. Go wash your hands and have lunch," Lu Jiu said while putting the bowl on the table. After placing the cutlery, noodles, and pot of soup, she knocked on her parents' door and said, "Mother, Father, lunch is ready." Before long, they were sitting around the table having lunch. Seeing beef, eggs, and vegetables on the noodles, Mother Lu finally asked, "Yu, did Chenmo give you money to buy meat and eggs again?" "And he has already given me all of his money," she nodded. Hearing her casual tone, Mother Lu was silent for a while, and then said, "Yu, although he gave you all the money, you shouldn't spend it on our house like this. Just buy enough food for him and Lao Li. If people know that we have been eating meat and eggs that were bought using his money, it will not be good for your reputation." Before Lu Jiu could speak, Wang Muxiao interrupted her and said, "Mother, how can you say that? Didn't we just agree to let them get married before the Chinese New Year? In less than a week, he will become your son-in-law. It is his filial piety to buy some meat for you." Everyone was taken aback when they heard her words. Mother Lu had already planned to tell Lu Jiu tonight, so she was angry when she heard what her second daughter-in-law said. They knew that Lu Jiu fell in love with another man, and she was unwilling to marry Lee Chenmo. In the past 2 years, she often quarreled with her family because of her engagement with Lee Chenmo. In order to move the marriage forward, Father Lee took a lot of effort to persuade them. They knew that if she knew about it, she would refuse. Therefore, Mother Lu has prepared a speech and plans to chat with her tonight. However, her efforts were ruined suddenly in this way. Seeing the shock on Lu Jiu's face, Wang Muxiao realized that she had said something wrong, so she didn't dare to say anything more and lowered her head. Mother Lu glared at Wang Muxiao, then turned to Lu Jiu and said, "Yu, Lao Li came yesterday and proposed to advance the wedding date. They are worried that if you keep going back and forth in the cold weather, you will get sick again." Lu Jiu said nothing and nodded. She already knew about this, but she didn't expect them to choose next week. What's more, she was speechless as her family really believed that lame excuse. What Lu Jiu didn't know was that her family knew that Lee's father's excuse was nonsense. However, they also thought that Han Yuluo had come back for holiday, and they were worried that she would do something that would damage the reputation of the Lu family and the Lee family. Therefore, they decided to let her marry Lee Chenmo as soon as possible to avoid any accidents. "You are, just say what you want to say, don't keep it in your heart," Mother Lu added worriedly. Lu Jiu looked at her family and said with a smile, "Mother, I'm just surprised. Brother Chenmo has already told me about this and I agree with him. It's just that I didn't expect it to happen so soon." "So you agree with the arrangement?" Wang Muxiao suddenly asked. "Yes, Brother Chenmo treats me very well and I like him. I don't have any objection." Everyone breathed a sigh of relief after hearing her words. "That's good. He is willing to give you 250 yuan as your bride price, and other items that are needed have been prepared. We don't have much dowry for you, so use the money to increase your dowry," Father Lu said. Lu Jiu had no objection and said, "I will listen to father and mother's arrangement." Good, good, good. Mother Lu was so happy that she kept smiling during the meal. Compared to Han Yuluo, Mother Lu actually prefers Lee Chenmo as her son-in-law. After all, Lee Chenmo has served in the army, so he is more mature and trustworthy. As for Han Yuluo, although he cared about Lu Jiu very much, he was too gentle and kind. What's more, his kindness is not unique to Lu Jiu, which makes many girls misunderstand him. A kind and gentle man is good, but Mother Lu doesn't like him getting too close to those girls. No matter how good he is to Lu Jiu, Mother Lu can't trust him. not to mention that he works in the county seat. What kind of woman had he never met? Mother Lu couldn't be sure whether Lu Jiyu was the only one in his heart, so when she saw her daughter finally accept Li Chenmo, she was very happy. After lunch, Lu Jiyu went to Li's house. As she walked into the front yard, she heard conversations coming from inside the house. Because there were guests, she didn't go directly into the house, but knocked on the door. Not long after, a tall man opened the door, startling her. She looked at this man and found there were similarities between him and Li Chenmo. When the man saw her, he smiled and said, "Third sister-in-law, you're here. Come in, come in." "Elder brother, take it easy, don't scare Jiyu." Lu Jiyu heard Li Chenmo's helpless voice from inside. She looked at the man and said, "Brother, hello. Come in, don't keep standing at the door," he said, picked up the bamboo basket from her hand and stepped aside to let her in. Lu Jiyu entered the room and saw many people she didn't know inside. Li Chenmo waved to her, motioning for her to walk over. When she approached him, he took her hand and pulled her to sit beside him. Afterward, he introduced her to his family. "Jiyu, this is my elder brother, Li Chen's. This is my eldest sister-in-law, Zhang Dongmei. These are my nephews Li Jingqian and Li Jingsu. They are twins." Li Chenmo pointed to the people around the table. Lu Jiyu looked at them, smiled, and said, "Brother Chen's elder sister Dongmei." Hearing her polite greeting, Li Chen's frowned and said, "Third sister-in-law, you should call me big brother." Hearing her husband's words, Zhang Dongmei nodded and said, "Just call me sister-in-law. Xiaoroqian, Xiroxu, greet your third aunt." Both boys were smart enough to know that the young woman in front of them was their future third aunt, so they called her obediently. "Third aunt?" Li Chenmo smiled and asked, "What did you bring for lunch?" When she came back to her senses, Lu Jiyu said, "I made tomato beef noodles. It's getting cold, so I'll heat the soup up. Wait a moment." After speaking, she quickly went to the kitchen with the bamboo basket. Seeing her fleeing back, Li Chenmo looked at his brother and said, "Elder brother, you should stop teasing her, she has thin skin." "You brat, you haven't married her yet, but you already defend her like this." Li Chen's clicked his tongue. Zhang Dongmei smiled and said, "I'll go help her." In the kitchen, Lu Jiyu took out more noodles and broth from her space. She didn't expect to have guests today. Luckily, she made a lot of noodles and soup. As soon as she took out noodles, soup, a jar of meat sauce, and 20 steamed buns, Zhang Dongmei walked in. Lu Jiyu was taken aback by her sudden appearance. Luckily, the bamboo basket she used was big and had 3 layers, so it's enough to hold all the food she just took out. Otherwise, people will wonder how a small bamboo basket can hold so much food. "Third sister-in-law, is there anything I can help you with?" Zhang Dongmei asked. "Our eldest sister-in-law, no need. I can handle it by myself," Lu Jiyu said with some embarrassment. Seeing Lu Jiyu's embarrassment, Zhang Dongmei helped her light the fire without saying a word. With her help, the meal was ready in no time. Li Chen's and the boys were surprised when they brought the food to the living room. They thought the food would be the same as what they usually have and planned to be more reserved. But when they saw the beef, eggs, and vegetables on the noodles, their mouths were watering. "I didn't know that elder brother would come to visit today, so I only cook simple dishes. I hope everyone doesn't dislike it." Lu Jiyu handed them a bowl of noodles each while talking. She put the steamed buns and meat sauce in the middle of the table and then sat beside Li Chenmo. She scooped some meat sauce for him and put it on the noodles. "I made this a few days ago, try it," she said in a low voice. Li Chenmo nodded, stirred the noodles, drank the soup, and took a bite. The noodles are chewy and fragrant. The broth was rich in flavor with a hint of tomato sourness. It tastes refreshing and warm in cold weather. She picked up the steamed bun and put some meat sauce on it before she handed it to him. Seeing that she took good care of Li Chenmo, Li Chen's finally felt at ease. As it turned out, the rumors about her love for Han Yuluo were false. Such a good girl was calculated and slandered by others. If he finds out who is spreading rumors, he will break their legs. While Father Li and Li Chenmo were used to Lu Jiyu's cooking, it was the first time for Li Chen's and his family to taste it. While eating, they couldn't help admiring her cooking skills. Before they knew it, they ate several steamed buns with meat sauce and a big bowl of noodles. As for Li Chenmo and Li Chen's, they ate 2 bowls of noodles before finally stopping. When they were done eating, they couldn't even sit up straight. Lu Jiyu looked at them, speechless. Indeed, people in this era have a very good appetite. Seeing that they were uncomfortable, Lu Jiyu went to the kitchen to make some tea to help digestion. After handing them a cup of tea, she cleared the table. When she was washing dishes in the kitchen, Li Chen's looked at Li Chenmo and couldn't help sighing. Li Chenmo noticed his brother's gaze and asked, What's wrong? You brat, you are always the luckiest of the three of us. Now you not only marry someone you like, but she is also good at cooking and takes good care of you, Li Chen said with a click of his tongue. Zhang Dongmei pinched his waist when she heard his words and asked, "You mean I didn't take good care of you and my cooking tastes bad?" Feeling the sharp pain on his waist, Li Chen's quickly held her hand and said, it hurts. Wife, be gentle." A few seconds later, she let go of his waist and said, "HMPH, let's see if you dare to talk nonsense again." Father Li was used to their way of getting along, so he just smiled and said, "I'm going back to my room to rest." Lu Jiu didn't know they were talking about her. After washing the dishes, she took out 2 jars of meat sauce from her space. When she returned to the living room, Li Chen's family was about to leave. "Elder brother, are you leaving now?" she asked. "Yes, we still have some things to do. We can't stay any longer. We will visit another day." Li Chen's nodded. Lu Jiu handed over the jars and said, "Elder brother, I made these by myself. This one has a spicy flavor and this one is light flavor. Please don't dislike it." This time, Zhang Dongmei took the jar without hesitation and said with a big smile on her face, "Thank you, sister-in-law. We absolutely loved it. Next time I make something, I'll send it to you," she added. Lu Jiu just smiled and nodded. After seeing them off, she went to Li Chenmo's bedroom and saw him reading a book. She sat next to him, looking at the book. This is a government-published book. Li Chenmo didn't speak, because he knew she didn't go to school and might be curious about the book. After a while, Lu Jiu said, "Brother Chenmo, I have borrowed the tractor for tomorrow. The team leader will pick us up at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning." Hearing Lu Jiu's words, Li Chenmo nodded and hesitated for a while before saying, "I heard that Han Yuluo has returned for the new year. Have you seen him?" His tone was so light and casual that Lu Jiu didn't find anything wrong and answered truthfully. I saw him when I went to borrow a tractor." "Is that so? Did you have a good chat with him?" he asked again without looking at her. This time, Lu Jiu could smell the sourness from his words. She raised the corner of her mouth and said, "No, I don't even remember who he is. What can I talk to him about?" Hearing his words, Li Chenmo finally moved his gaze from the book and looked at her. Seeing that she didn't look uncomfortable, he breathed a sigh of relief and said with a smile, "You're right, there's nothing to say to strangers." After a while, he held her hand and added, "Since you have forgotten about him, then you don't have to remember him anymore. You just need to think about me from now on." Lu Jiu was speechless after hearing his words. She knew he was clingy and possessive, but it was still new to her to see him act so shamelessly. Facts have proved that the character setting of the male lead is more complicated than that depicted in the novel. She felt he was always insecure about their relationship. Maybe it was because the original host liked another person and was unwilling to marry him. Therefore, he always thought that she would leave him at any time. Thinking of this, she felt sorry for him. She sighed, clasped their fingers together and said, "Brother Chenmo, there is nothing to worry about. As long as you don't let go, I will always be by your side." Lu Jiu didn't know if her words could give him more sense of security, but that was all she could do. Only time will prove her words to him. She would hand over to him the power to determine their future. No matter what he decides in the future, whether to continue with her or choose to be with the heroine, she will respect his choice. Finally hearing Lu Jiu's promise, Li Chenmo was overjoyed. His smile widened as he tightened their fingers. "All right, you can't take back your word," he said in a low voice. "I won't break my promise, you can trust me," Lu Jiu said with a smile. After a short conversation, Li Chenmo fell asleep. Although most of his injuries were recovering faster than they thought, it was not a minor injury, and his body was still weak. After Lu Jiu filled the water tank with water from her space, she left Li's house. While they already use the mountain spring water now, whenever she finds that there is only half of the water left in the kitchen's water tank, she will still fill it with water from her own space. When Lu Jiu was back in her room, Mother Lu knocked on the door and walked in. Seeing her mother, Lu Jiu asked, "Mother, what's the matter?" Mother Lu closed the door and sat beside her. She took out a small bag from her sleeve and stuffed it into Lu Jiu's hand. She looked at the bag and asked, "Mother, what is this?" Mother Lu patted her hand lightly and said, "This is your dowry. Although it's not much, this is mother and father's blessing. Use it wisely. After marriage, you can only rely on yourself and your husband. Mother and father can't stay with you like before. If you're being bullied, come back and tell mother. You have your family behind you. Whoever dares to bully you, we will settle accounts with them. Do not be afraid. Do you understand?" Hearing Mother Lu's words, Lu Jiu's eyes were red. Although she will never see her mom again, she gained another mother in this unfamiliar world and also a family who loves her dearly. She is such a lucky person. I understand, thank you, mother, she said in a low, hoarse voice. Silly child, what are you thanking your mother for? Mother Lu stroked her hair and said softly. You should have a good rest and don't make yourself too tired. Otherwise, you won't look good on your wedding day, Mother Lu added. Then, after Mother Lu left, Lu Jiu opened the bag and counted the money, a total of 50 yuan and some coupons. With the dowry gift from Li Chenmo, she would have a dowry of 300 yuan. That's a lot of money for a villager, especially for a girl. After all, many people are still patriarchal in this day and age, even when leaders said that women can hold up half the world as men. Not long after, there was a knock on the door, followed by Chen Anwen's voice. Jiu, can I go in? Sister-in-law, please come in. Chen Anwen walked into her room, closed the door, and sat on the kang bed beside her. She noticed the small bag in Lu Jiu's hand and said with a smile, Jiu, your eldest brother and sister-in-law don't have any valuable things to add to your dowry, so we can only give you some money. Don't dislike it. While it's not much, it's our heartfelt wish for you to have a blissful and happy marriage. Chen Anwen handed her some money while talking. Lu Jiu was surprised that her elder brother and his wife would add a dowry to her. Since they have not separated from the family yet, her mother is the one who manages the family money. She only gives them an allowance of 6 yuan a month, while she only receives 2 yuan. She looked at the 20 yuan in her hand and said, Sister-in-law, this. Just keep it, this is also your brother's intention. We only have you as a sister, don't refuse. After a while, Lu Jiu said, Thank you, sister-in-law. Good, then you rest, I have to see the children. Just as Chen Anwen left the room, Wang Muxiao entered her room. She was much more casual than Chen Anwen, sitting directly next to her, and asked in a low voice, Jiu, has your eldest sister-in-law come to give you a dowry? How much does she give you? Wang Muxiao asked again. Hearing her question, even Lu Jiu was taken aback. She unconsciously covered the money in her hand. Wang Muxiao noticed her small movements and said, Aya, I didn't mean to pry into your privacy. I'm just curious. Second sister-in-law, I didn't mean that, Lu Jiu said with some embarrassment. Wang Muxiao was not angry and just waved her hands while saying, Forget it. Here, this is for you. Maybe it's not as much as your eldest sister-in-law gave you, but you can't dislike it either. Lu Jiu looked at the 10 yuan in her hand and said with a smile, I won't. Thank you, second sister-in-law. If you have good things, remember to share them with your natal family. After leaving these words, Wang Muxiao left her room. Lu Jiu shook her head. In the past few days, she has roughly understood their personalities. Wang Muxiao was willing to give her 10 yuan, which was considered very good already. After all, she was stingy even with her own husband and daughter, including herself. Lu Jiu put all the money in the drawer in her own space, then went to the warehouse to get some wool, and continued knitting. The sun had set by the time she left her space, and she went to the kitchen to prepare dinner. For dinner, she plans to make dumplings with beef bone soup. While cooking the beef bones, she made dumplings with several kinds of fillings. There are crispy and sweet cabbage fillings, delicious meat fillings, and vegetable and egg fillings. While she was cooking, some guests came suddenly. Standing outside the gate, Han Yuheng knocked on the gate and shouted, Is there anyone at home? Behind him stood a few educated youths. Due to the long journey and the cold weather, their lips were chapped and slightly pale. Seeing that no one came out, Han Yuheng called again, Uncle Lu, are you at home? Not long after, Lu Cheng's voice came from inside, Coming, who is it? When Lu Cheng opened the door and saw a group of people who came with the team leader, he was stunned. Team leader Han, why are you here? Lu Cheng asked tentatively. Lu Cheng, can we go in and talk? Seeing the pale lips of the educated youths, Han Yuheng asked. Of course, please come in. Lu Cheng stepped aside and let them in. He led them into the living room of the main house and said, Please have a seat, I'll go and inform my father. After he finished speaking, he knocked on the door of his parents' room and said, Father, the team leader is here. Wait a minute, Father Lu's voice came from the room. Hearing Father Lu's response, Lu Chen went to the kitchen. As soon as he entered the kitchen, he smelled the aroma of bone soup and felt his saliva pooling. Are we having dumpling soup for dinner? He asked, looking at the neatly arranged dumplings on the table. Hearing Lu Cheng's voice, Lu Jiu turned her head and said, it will be ready in a while. Lu Cheng almost forgot that he was here to get hot water and asked, Juyu, is there any hot water? There are guests and they look very cold. Every time Lu Juyu cooks, she prepares a pot of hot water. If she needs to wash something, she can use warm water instead of cold water. So she nodded and said, I'm going to make tea, just wait a moment. After washing her hands, Lu Juyu went to get a pot. She scooped some tea leaves from a small jar to the pot and poured hot water onto it. The tea is from her space and the quality is very good. Those who like to drink tea will know that the Lu family's tea is a rare dahanpao if they have tasted it. In addition to dahanpao, she also has beihao yinshen, wuyi narcissus, taigunian, pa, longjing, and even tainchai flower tea, which was classified as herbal tea. Second brother helped me bring the pot. With that said, Lu Juyu took out a few bamboo cups from the cabinet and a small brazier near the stove, and went to the living room. When she went in, she was surprised to see that the educated youths were trembling from the cold. She placed the brazier beside them, handed each of them a cup, and set the rest on the table. Lu Cheng followed behind her, poured tea into their cups and said, have some tea to warm your body. These educated youths are all from cities far from the village. Their journey took several weeks and they suffered a lot due to the weather. When they arrived at the county town, the production team had no cars. As a result, they could only sit on the bullock cart in the cold weather and their bodies shivering constantly. They thought they would have to endure for a few more hours before they could drink hot water. To their surprise, the first house they visited offered them hot tea. Everyone thanked Lu Cheng and drank tea. The moment they drank the tea, their eyes widened in surprise. The tea tastes really good, unlike the tea that ordinary villagers drink. Han Yuheng took a sip of tea which warmed his body and said, Uncle Lu, I'm sorry to disturb your rest for visiting so late. Hearing his polite words, Father Lu waved his hands and said, It's okay, Team Leader Han is here to visit at this time. Is there something urgent? Han Yuheng glanced at the educated youths and said, Uncle Lu, I will be honest with you. These are educated youths sent by the central government and they will receive education here. Currently, we don't have any vacant houses for them to live in, so I want to know if you can let 1 or 2 of them stay in your house. The production team will give you work points for the rent. As for their food, you don't need to provide them. Father Lu looked at the soft and tender educated youth and felt a little headache. Although they have spare rooms in their house, it's not easy living with strangers. What's more, these educated youths often have arrogant behavior. Most educated youth come from towns or big cities, and they also grew up in wealthy families. Most of them are unwilling to go to the village to receive peasant education. Therefore, their behavior is rude to the villagers. Seeing Father Lu's hesitation, Han Yuheng quickly said, Uncle Lu, they won't stay for long. It will only be a month or 2 at most. They will move out as soon as the house is completed. Before Father Lu could make a decision, Mother Lu came out of the bedroom and sat down opposite Han Yuheng. She looked at the educated youth one by one like she was picking cabbage in the market. Her sharp eyes and serious expression made the educated youth feel pressure. Not to mention these young masters and ladies, even Han Yuheng was fidgeting under Mother Lu's gaze. When he was a child, he was beaten by Mother Lu and suffered many times, which made him unconsciously afraid of her. Aunt Lu, he greeted her politely. There are 6 educated youths, 4 men and 2 women. Mother Lu observed them for a while, then looked at Han Yuheng and said, Team Leader Han, it's okay to let them live in my house. We have a spare room now, but I only accept girls, and the rent will be decided by the production team. There is no problem for us to help, after all, this is for the revolution. Han Yuheng was overjoyed when he heard Mother Lu's words, but before he could say thanks, Mother Lu interrupted him. However, as long as they live in my house, they must abide by my house rules. Aunt Lu, what are the rules? Han Yuheng asked tentatively. As you know, besides Juyu, I have 2 sons. When they lived in my house, for whatever reason, they were forbidden to have any contact with my sons. I don't want my son's family to get into trouble because of this matter, Mother Lu said directly. When the girls heard Mother Lu's words, their faces were reddened and then turned pale. One of them lowered her head and bit her lip, while the other asked, Auntie, what do you mean? Are you implying that we will seduce your son? Aren't you thinking too much? In any case, we all have urban citizenship. Hearing her rude words, Mother Lu was still calm. But Han Yuheng frowned. Mother Lu seemed to have heard nothing and continued, Second, if you want to eat at my house, you need to buy ingredients or pay for the ingredients. The same applies to firewood. The girl interjected again, we also need to pay for firewood. You can pick it from the mountain for free. In that case, you can go get it yourself. Everyone was stunned by the sharp words. The girl turned her head and looked at Lu Juyu. Not giving her a chance to say anything, Lu Juyu said, Brother Han, I'm sorry, our small house can't accommodate these 2 big Buddhas. You should take them to another place. Han Yuheng had a headache. Among all the villagers, except for the Li family, only the Lu family has a vacant room. He planned to let the 2 girls live in Lu's house and the 4 men live in Lee's house. Now that the situation has developed to this point, he is also feeling very uncomfortable. After a while, the other girl finally looked up and said, "Sister, I apologize on behalf of my friend. We walked for a long time and were tired, that's why she said those impolite words. We will obey the rules and pay for the ingredients and firewood." Lu Jiu raised her eyebrows and asked, "What's your name?" The girl smiled and said, "My name is Zyro Yiking." The moment Lu Jiu heard the name, her mind went blank. Zyro Yiking, isn't this the name of the heroine? Isn't there still 3 months before she comes? Has the plot changed because of me? After a few seconds, she came back to her senses and said, "Okay, you guys can stay here." Everyone was stunned by her change of mind. Just now she didn't agree to let them stay, but now she agreed without hesitation. Now that she had agreed, Mother Lu and Father Lu didn't say anything more. As for Lu Jiu's reason, it was also very simple. She would rather let the heroine live in her house than Li Chenmo's. According to the plot of the novel, the heroine was rejected by the Lu family and had to go to the Li family. Staying there, the relationship between her and Li Chenmo got closer. Eventually, they fell in love with each other and got married. Lu Jiu didn't care about it before, but now that she has decided to be with Li Chenmo, she won't let the heroine live with her fiancé. Even if Li Chenmo decides to be with the heroine in the future, she doesn't want them to live under the same roof for now. Han Yuheng breathed a sigh of relief, looked at her gratefully and said, "Then I'll take my leave first. We still have to visit Li's house." Hearing this, Lu Jiu suddenly remembered her soup and said quickly, "Brother Han, I'll go with you. Please wait a moment." She quickly took out a pot, filled it with bone broth, and put the dumplings in several bamboo bowls. After putting everything into the bamboo basket, she turned off the fire and covered the dumplings with fabric. Before leaving with Han Yuheng, she said, "Mother, I made bone soup and dumplings. You just need to heat it up for dinner. I'll have dinner with Brother Chenmo, don't wait for me." All right, go quickly, don't keep your fiancé waiting." Mother Lu glanced at Zyro Yiking and said. She found that when the girl looked at her daughter, there was a hint of jealousy in her eyes. Although it only lasted for a second, Mother Lu saw it clearly. It seems that there is something wrong with this girl. She needs to keep an eye on her. "Then I'm leaving," Lu Jiu said before leaving with Han Yuheng and the educated youths. After Lu Jiu left, Zyro Yiking looked at her back thoughtfully. According to the novel plotline, Lu Jiu should have died by now. How come she is not only alive this time, but also healthy? In order to prevent Li Chenmo from having an accident, she came here earlier than the plotline. According to the plot, in the next few days, the Yang family's son would sneak into his room and beat him. In the novel, he was able to escape this calamity because Su Anna's timely appearance saved him. Because of this, the relationship between Li Chenmo and Su Anna is getting closer and closer, and finally they are together. Now that she's here, the hero should be hers. After all, as a transmigrator, the position of the heroine should be hers. But now that Lu Jiu is still alive, some changes may occur in the plot. She should pay close attention to Li Chenmo and find a way to get close to him. As for Lu Jiu, she was already doomed to die. Therefore, she will not waste energy and time on unimportant characters. She just needs to be careful with the original heroine, Su Anna. With such a decision, Zyro Yiking felt better, and followed Mother Lu to the room opposite Lu Jiu. At the same time, Lu Jiu, Han Yuheng and others had arrived at Li's house. Before Han Yuheng knocked on the door, she pushed the door and walked in familiarly. Seeing this, Han Yuheng sighed. It seems that his younger brother has no chance. The relationship between Lu Jiu and Li Chenmo has reached the point where she can enter the house as she pleases. If they didn't end up married, he'd change his surname. She walked a few steps, and Lu Jiu found that they were not following her, so he said, "Brother Han, please come in." Han Yuheng nodded, and walked into the front yard with the educated youths. When Lu Jiu entered the room, Father Li and Li Chenmo were sitting and chatting together. They smiled the moment they saw her. "Zyro, you are here, come and sit down," Father Li said with a smile. Lu Jiu didn't sit down and said, "Uncle Lei, Team Leader Han is here to see you. I'll go to the kitchen first." Only then did Father Li and Li Chenmo notice the people following behind her. Seeing the group of strangers, Father Li said, "Team Leader Han, please have a seat. What brought you here at this time?" Han Yuheng sat down beside Li Chenmo and said, "Uncle Li, I'm sorry to disturb you so late, but the matter is urgent. So I can only thicken my face and come here." "Team Leader Han, what's the matter?" Father Li asked. "It's like this. These are the educated youths sent here by the central government to receive re-education. Now we don't have any spare houses for them to live in, so I want to ask Uncle Li if they can live in Uncle Li's house temporarily. They will only stay for 1 or 2 months at most. They will move out as soon as the house is complete, Han Yuheng said. As for the rent, the production team will pay you with work points. You also no need to worry about their food. They will work on the fields to earn work points, he added. After a while, Father Li said, it's fine for them to live in my house. But you see, my third son is getting married in less than a week, and it will be very inconvenient for my daughter-in-law to live with a group of strangers. Hearing Father Li's words, Han Yuheng was taken aback for a moment and asked, isn't the wedding date still 2 months away? Father Li glanced at his son and said, in this matter, the two families feel that it is better for Xiaoru to get married earlier. In this way, she will not have to travel back and forth, and it will be easier for her to take care of her husband. After listening to Father Li's words, Han Yuheng fell silent. He never expected such a situation to arise. Under normal circumstances, the woman's family will wait until the groom is fully recovered before agreeing to marry off the daughter. After all, if the son-in-law cannot fully recover, or if some complications occur during the recovery process, the daughter will become a widow at such a young age, and her future will also be affected. Now, because of this matter, he has no other choice but to find another place. Although it is a pity since the Li family has 2 vacant rooms, which are very suitable for these 4 educated youths, he cannot force the Li family to accept them. When he was in a dilemma, he heard Li Chenmo say, Father, don't we have a house on the mountain foothill? Juyu and I can live there after we get married, so they can stay here to accompany you temporarily. Although all land needs to be returned to the state, villagers can still own their houses as long as they pay taxes. But because the taxes were expensive, most villagers would choose to return the house to the state rather than keep it like the Li family did. Hearing his words, Father Li remembered that house. It was a 4-bedroom house with a separate kitchen and woodshed in the backyard. The house and the land it's occupied is bigger than their current house. After thinking about it, Father Li frowned and said, but that house has been empty for so many years. It needs to be repaired before you can move in. You will be married in 5 days, and there is not enough time for repairs. Han Yuheng was worried that Father Li would reject Li Chenmo's idea, so he quickly interjected, Uncle Li, you don't have to worry about this matter. I will ask the villagers to help repair the house, and you only need to prepare materials and some food for them. I assure you, the house will be completed in 4 days at most. This, Father Li looked conflicted. I will buy the materials myself. You can pay after the materials are delivered, Han Yuheng added. After a while, Father Li finally agreed. Han Yuheng breathed a sigh of relief and said, then, I will leave them under Uncle Li's care. I still have things to attend to, so I will take my leave first. Stay here for dinner before going back, Father Li said. I had dinner before I came, thank you, Uncle Li. Han Yuheng refused and left in a hurry, fearing that Father Li would change his mind and refuse to take in the educated youth. After handing over the burden, he was in a good mood and went to other villagers to ask them to help with the renovation. Looking at Han Yuheng's back, the corner of Li Chenmo's mouth was lifted. It was good to have someone who would help him renovate his wedding house, save him time looking for people. Father Li looked at the educated youths sitting in the room, whose lips already turned pale and trembling. They looked pitiful. Father Li didn't know what to do for a while. Li Chenmo observed for a while and said, my name is Li Chenmo, and you will stay here for at least 2 months, so there are some things that need to be clarified. The educated youths stared at him and were stunned. As a veteran, Li Chenmo's eyes were sharp and cold, not to mention these delicate young people. Even those soldiers who have experienced war dare not look directly at him. So after taking a glance, they hurriedly averted their gazes and nodded. As the team leader said, you don't need to pay the rent, but you need to prepare the food yourself. I don't care whether you cook it yourself or eat elsewhere. The firewood can be used temporarily, but it needs to be returned. You can pick it on the mountain or buy it at state-owned supply stores. You will do your own laundry and clean your room. Any questions? No, thank you for letting us live in your house, an educated youth said hoarsely. The room on the right is yours. Each room can accommodate 2 people. You can decide for yourself, Li Chenmo added. The 4 of them nodded and went to the room to change clothes. It snowed all the way and their clothes were soaked wet. After they entered the room, Lu Jiu walked into the living room with a big pot. Seeing this, Father Li took it and put it on the table. After that, he went to get the dumplings and tableware from the kitchen, while Lu Jiu sat beside Li Chenmo. Seeing only Li Chenmo and Father Li were in the living room, she asked, has the matter been resolved? Li Chenmo nodded, held her hand and said, Jiu, after we get married, we won't live with my father. After all, my family has separated, so we will live in the house at the foot of the mountain. It might be a bit far from the village. Well, it's the same everywhere for me. You can make the decision, Lu Jiu said casually. Seeing that she really didn't mind, Li Chenmo smiled and added probingly, when we separated, I promised to give my father 50 yuan a month. Since I no longer work in the army, I plan to give my father 30% of the food we receive every year. I promise I will work hard and won't let you suffer. Brother Chenmo, I never work in the fields, so we probably won't earn enough work points to exchange for food for a year. Will 30% be enough for your father? Lu Jiu asked. She has no problem giving Father Li more food because her space can produce a lot of food every day. Even if Li Chenmo gave all the food they received to Father Li, they would not starve to death. But this secret, she has no way to tell him. After hearing her words, Li Chenmo was delighted. Instead of being angry, she was even worried that his father would not have enough to eat. She was indeed a very kind and understanding girl. At this time, Father Li, who was standing outside the living room, could hear their conversations clearly. At first, he was worried that his third daughter-in-law would quarrel with his son regarding this matter. If that happens, he plans to reject his son's offer. He has saved all the money sent by Li Chenmo over the years. He has nearly 5,000 yuan, which is a huge sum of money, so even if they don't give him food or money, he won't say anything. But unexpectedly, Lu Jiu not only agreed with his son's statement, but also worried that he would not have enough to eat. As a father-in-law, he no longer has any demands on this daughter-in-law. Her care and good intentions were enough for him. Taking a deep breath and calming down, Father Li entered the living room and said, "Let's eat first before it gets cold." Lu Jiu quickly helped him get the tableware and filled the bowl with dumplings. She put the bowl in front of them and said, "Uncle Li, Brother Chenmo, try the dumplings. I made 3 kinds of stuffing. I don't know if it suits your taste." Then, Father Li and Li Chenmo scooped up the dumplings and tasted them. When they bit the dumplings, their eyes lit up. The soup was fragrant, oily but not greasy. As for the dumplings, the skin is thin and chewy, while the filling is tender, flavorful with a hint of sweetness, and very delicious. While eating, Lu Jiu found that the educated youths in the room were swallowing their saliva and kept looking at them. Seeing their chapped lips and pale faces, she said, "Brother Chenmo, I made a lot of dumplings. Should we share some with them? Because they just arrived, so they may have nothing to eat." Li Chenmo glanced at the room and saw the 4 young men had been looking at them, looking really pitiful. He sighed and said, "Come and join us, everyone. My wife has already counted your share." Hearing him say wife so calmly, Lu Jiu was speechless. Was this person taking advantage of her just now? Li Chenmo glanced at her and asked with a smile, "Why don't you eat?" Lu Jiu glared at him and said, "I'm not your wife yet. You will be my wife in 5 days. It doesn't make any difference whether I call you wife now or later," he said with a low voice. Lu Jiu was taken aback by his words, so she could only pat his arm and whispered, "Rogue." Seeing her blushing, Li Chenmo gave a low laugh. He stopped teasing her and concentrated on eating. The educated youths sat around the table, watching the steaming dumpling soup as their stomachs growled. Father Li came back from the kitchen, handed each of them a bowl and said, "Eat at ease. Consider it a welcome meal for you." "Thank you, Uncle Li. Thank you, Brother Li, sister-in-law." They thanked them and filled their bowls with dumplings. Perhaps because of the cold and hunger, the dumplings they ate tasted much better than those sold in state-run restaurants, so they ate slowly while savoring the taste. Father Li gave them a large portion, 4 mixed vegetable dumplings, 4 cabbage dumplings and 2 pork dumplings. Although not much, it can also fill their stomachs by 80%. The atmosphere of the Li family is harmonious and warm, but that is not the case in the Lu family. After Mother Lu brought Zyro Yiking and Pan Majia to the room, the 2 of them were left to take care of themselves. When the Lu family ate their dinner, the 2 could only hold their stomachs and drink hot water to satisfy their hunger. When Pan Majia was arranging her clothes and putting them into the cabinet, she kept looking at the door. Smelling the aroma and watching them eating the delicious-looking dumplings one by one, she couldn't help swallowing. After holding back for a while, Pan Majia finally couldn't hold back anymore and muttered, "I never thought that as a villager, they could eat dumplings like this. Even my family can only eat some meat occasionally." Although her voice was not loud, they didn't close the door. Therefore, as no one spoke during the meal, the Lu family could hear them clearly. When other people ignored Pan Majia's words and regarded them as farting, Wang Muxiao couldn't do it. She swallowed the dumplings in her mouth and said exaggeratedly, "Aya, today's dumplings are really fragrant and delicious. Not only does it have meat fillings, but also eggs and vegetable fillings. Our family's Jew is really blessed. Before getting married, her fiancé has already spoiled her like this. He would worry about whether she was full every day or not. He also told her not to save money and buy meat and eggs to nourish her body. He even gave her all his money. After she finished speaking, she looked at Mother Lu from the corner of her eyes. Seeing that Mother Lu didn't speak, she was relieved and continued to eat happily. But in the room, Pan Magia was stunned by these words, and said enviously, no matter how good he is to her, he will stay here forever and work in the fields. When I finish my education here, I will go back to the city. While Pan Magia was grumbling, Zyro Yiking tidied up her things without saying a word. With her back to them, no one noticed the jealousy and hatred hovering in her eyes. She clenched her fists and twisted her clothes, trying to control her emotions. Lu Jiyu, she should have died a long time ago. Why is there such a big deviation in the plot? Does the butterfly effect happen because of me? No, even if I didn't come earlier than the plot line, she should have been pushed to the river by Su Anna and died of fever. What is the problem? Zyro Yiking racked her brains and couldn't find the reason, until a thought flashed in her mind. Wait, if I can come to this world, then Su Anna may be reborn. If that's the case, then it all makes sense. Looks like I need to try and get close to her to find out what was going on soon. I can't let the plot change anymore. After making a decision, she calmed down and sorted out her belongings in less than 15 minutes. She took a bag out of her clothes and counted the money in it. In addition to money, she has many coupons. Her father was the director of a factory, and her older brother was a first sergeant in the army. Therefore, her family can be regarded as a wealthy family. When she told her parents and brother she wanted to come to this village, they opposed her idea. But under her constant begging and persuading, they finally reluctantly agreed to her request. Before leaving the capital, they gave her 200 yuan and a stack of coupons. Her brother even told her to notify them if she ran out of money, and they would send her more money. Zyro Yiking held the pouch tightly, walked to the living room and said, I'm sorry to disturb your meal. If possible, can you give me a bowl? I haven't eaten anything since last night. When she walked towards them, the Lu family already knew what she wanted. The men listened to her, said nothing, and continued eating. While Mother Lu said, it's okay to give you a bowl, but these dumplings are made of white flour and filled with meat. The soup is made from beef bones, ginseng, ginger, and various herbs. Although we only asked you to pay for the ingredients, it won't be cheap. Zyro Yiking and Pan Magia were shocked when Mother Lu listed the ingredients. They did not expect that these people would be so lavish. Zyro Yiking hesitated for a moment, but seeing the steaming hot dumpling soup, she couldn't hold back her hunger anymore. She gritted her teeth and said, I'm willing to give you 2 yuan for a bowl. Pan Magia was taken aback when she heard her words. She quickly grabbed Zyro Yiking's sleeve and said in a low voice, Yiking, are you crazy? A bowl of dumplings costs 2 yuan. Even in state-run restaurants, it only costs 50 cents. When Zyro Yiking and Pan Magia thought that the Lu family would agree to her price, Wang Muxiao said, it's not that we are not willing to let you eat, but you see the bones, meat, flour, vegetables, and eggs alone cost more than 20 yuan. What's more, there are precious medicinal materials such as ginseng in the soup. After hearing her words, Zyro Yiking and Pan Magia were at a loss. Mother Lu has already told them the ingredients, so there is no need to repeat it, right? So we would rather eat by ourselves to nourish our bodies than give you a bowl for only 2 yuan, Wang Muxiao added casually. This time Pan Magia exploded and said, are you not afraid that I will report you to the authorities? You are conducting a private transaction now. Besides, who knows where you got these precious raw materials? Maybe you bought them from the black market. When everyone heard her words, their faces turned cold. This is an accusation enough to send the family to prison for a decade. Chen Anwen put down the bowl and said coldly, Comrade, which ear of your ears and which eye of your eyes that hear and see us conducting the private transaction? As for the ingredients, as my sister-in-law said before, it was given by our family son-in-law. Have we violated the law when we receive his filial piety? Or do you want to ask the authorities to find out where our family son-in-law's raw materials come from? Chapter 36, Footbath. Being bombarded with the series of questions left Pan Magia speechless. In the end, she could only bite her lip and stare at Chen Anwen. After a while, Zyro Yiking asked, then, how much does the ingredients cost for a bowl? When Chen Anwen wanted to ask for 3 yuan per bowl, Wang Muxiao interrupted her and said, 5 yuan a bowl. Hearing this price, even the members of the Lu family were taken aback. They looked at her questioningly, but before they could stop her, Zyro Yiking took out the money and put it on the table, saying, give me a bowl. Seeing the money, Wang Muxiao's eyes lit up, and before Lu Cheng could stop her, she took the money and kept it. After that, she happily went to the kitchen and took out the bowl and spoon. She scooped 4 cabbage dumplings, 4 vegetable and egg dumplings, and 2 meat dumplings. She also generously gave her a small piece of ginseng to prove she wasn't lying about the ingredients. "Come on, eat it while it's hot. I put a piece of ginseng in there. You can chew it to nourish your body," Wang Muxiao said with a smile and passed the bowl over to Zyro Yiking. Zyro Yiking looked at the thin slice of ginseng floating inside the bowl, gritted her teeth and said, "Then I should thank my sister-in-law for taking care of me." As a person who has never been to school, Wang Muxiao doesn't know what sarcasm is, so she took Zyro Yiking's words seriously and said with a generous smile while waving her hand, "Aya, it's nothing. As long as you abide by my family rules, I believe we can live together happily." Zyro Yiking almost vomited 3 liters of blood when she heard what she said casually. Finally, she turned and went to her room to eat. She was sure that if she stayed with this person any longer, she would die of high blood pressure. Seeing that her friend had already gone to eat, Pan Magia glanced at the dumpling soup and clutched her stomach. She has a bad stomach, and whenever she skips meals, she will have a stomach ache. Now her stomach is really hurting. If she doesn't eat again, she may pass out from the pain. After weighing the pros and cons, she finally asked, "That sister-in-law, can I have half a bowl? Just give me 5 dumplings." Wang Muxiao nodded and said, "Sure, 3 yuan." Pan Magia was taken aback and asked, "Why is it 3 yuan? Isn't half a bowl worth 2 yuan and 50 cents? Wang Muxiao glanced at her and asked, "Don't you know that the more you buy, the cheaper the price will be? Since you buy half a bowl, the price of the ingredients is naturally higher than 1 bowl." Pan Magia felt suffocated and could not speak. She didn't have much money, and she didn't want to spend so much money for a bowl of dumplings, but she is more unwilling to pay more than Zyro Yiking. Finally, she paid 5 yuan and got a bowl of dumplings to fill her stomach. At first she felt cheated, but the moment she bit into the dumpling and drank the soup, all the unwillingness disappeared. She even thought it was cheap, because this bowl of dumplings was the best food she had eaten in 20 years of her life. It tastes even better than the roast duck sold in state-run restaurants. By the time she realized it, she had already finished the bowl of dumplings. After drinking the last drop of soup, she picked up the ginseng slice from the bowl and patted her stomach while chewing. She felt comfortable and refreshed. The exhaustion from the long journey dissipated in no time. It's a magical feeling. At the same time, after dinner, Lu Jiu helped Li Chenmo clean his body and change the bandages. After cleaning his body and changing the bandages, she went to the kitchen to change the water. When she came back, she had a wash basin in her hand used for washing feet. Seeing her put the basin down, Li Chenmo asked, "Jiu, why do you use this basin? My father uses it to wash his feet." "I know, that's why I use it," Lu Jiu said calmly and poured a black liquid into the wash basin. Looking at her series of actions, he can guess what she wants to do. However, he couldn't help but dismiss the idea. After all, taking care of him like this is already more than she is normally willing to do. It is impossible for her to be willing to wash his feet. Even for a loving couple, it does not mean that they are willing to wash their partner's feet. Not to mention Lu Jiu, who only has gratitude for him. While he was still in a daze, Lu Jiu supported his leg and put his foot on the wash basin. The moment his feet touched the warm water, he came back to his senses and looked at her in shock. "Jiu, what are you doing?" he asked in disbelief. Lu Jiu glanced at him with a questioning gaze and asked, "Giving you a foot bath, what else?" Hearing her words, Li Chenmo felt his mind go blank, and his heart was beating fast as if it would explode in the next second. After soaking his feet in warm water, Lu Jiu took a low stool and sat in front of him. She rolled his pants up to his knees and began massaging his feet and calf. In her previous life, she liked to travel, and her profession required her to stand for a long time. As a result, she often suffers from cramps or sore legs. To make herself feel better, she likes to see a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner for herbal spa treatments. Since she goes there often, the doctor's assistant told her a lot of foot bath ingredients and their purposes. She also taught her how to massage her feet. Over the years, she has accumulated some knowledge of herbal spa and massage techniques.